Let's move on. Of course, let's go to matters rugby. And of course, action in the Kenya Cup has been very, very intense with Kabras, of course, KCB, Menengai Oilers, all eyeing the gong. But at the weekend, the long rains made KCB versus Kabras match, basically a top of the table clash, be called off. Of course, at that point, it was 10-10. And look at that surface. And that's what actually made this game be called off. That's the Ruaraka ground here in Nairobi. Just have a look at that and the state of sports infrastructure in the country. It was 10-10. At one point, the referee said, no, enough of it. Yeah. This can't continue.
I mean, it's quite devastating to see such a pitch in Kenya. When we were in Morocco, of course, at the AFCON, it was a rainy season all through, morning to evening. But there is no point where a match was delayed or a match was postponed due to heavy rains. And you could see the ball rolling smoothly on the surface of every pitch in Morocco and Rabat. This is one thing that we should learn as Kenyans as we prepare for the AFCON, but also in rugby. Our rugby pitches should also be the same case, because a pitch in such a state will not render any match to be continued or any match to be played in successive weekends. I think the sports ministry and the government should do something, not only invest in football stadia, but also in rugby and other pitches across the country. But
that's really quite a shame. And for me, it's not just even sport. You know, sports development is not just a duty of the government, but also the clubs themselves. And also even the private sector or the corporate. KCB, for the record, has got one of the most stable corporate partners, I would call. But again, I'm not sure of the vision the club leadership has, because when you look at that kind of facility, and that's rugby, we have cricket, we have tennis, we name it, and everybody is crying, government, government, government. I think as the men bestowed with the role of leading the club, the men in the boardroom, they must also show ambition and have proper plans of uplifting the sport. You can't just really sit back and say, we are waiting for the government to do this. Very correct, very correct.
Of course, apart from just asking for the government to do the same, every club, even in football, they also need to have their own strategy, because this will render revenue to your club and it will also help you grow as a club. But if we go straight into this game, Swila, at the moment, we're expecting an announcement tomorrow from KRU if the game will be replayed or it will be rendered as a draw. But I'm aware that Kabras are satisfied with a draw. KCB want the game to be replayed because at the moment they are, of course, top of the table clash. Kabras Sugar, they last lost at the Lions Den in 2022 February. And their coach, Curtis, of course, the last time he lost, I can't even remember, because since he took charge at Kabras Sugar in 2021-22 season, he has gone 48 games without losing any match. So you see, it's like Kabras have dominated KCB over the past few years, like 3-4 years. They've now been over KCB all and all. But I can say Kabras in that game really put up a good show, because they were lacking 9 of their key senior players through injuries. And the youngsters put up a step. They were 10-0 down. They came down from 10-0 to level it up to 10-10. And I can say players like Eric Cantona, they really put up a good show. George Nyambu, of course, creating that Eric Cantona leveler. I can say that Kabras Sugar, if this game was to be replayed tomorrow, Kabras, surely they were going to win this game the other day on Saturday at Ruaraka, because KCB at some point under Andrew Omonde, they were good, yes, at the start, but at some point they lost it all. And if I can say the rains came to their rescue against Kabras at Ruaraka. But if it was replayed tomorrow, then I can say it will be a good show, because again, in accordance to KRU rules and regulations, if a game has been postponed due to heavy downpour and has been delayed, then it will be replayed. So I'm expecting a replay and not a draw as per expectations.
And actually, it's not just that. We also had KU Black Blood versus Impala match also being abandoned. And of course, there's a lot at play in the league title race. And of course, Kabras, our Kili, have been very, very dominant. Do you think probably they can still go all the way this time?
I don't see anything that will stand in the way of Kabras. If the rains could not, what are these other teams? I do not see anything that will stand in their way. And of course, you know, he's just spoken about the injuries. I think at least 9 of their main players are injured.
Yeah.
And they still play the youngsters. And the youngsters still manage to pull a draw amidst such bad weather against a seasoned side or an experienced side. You know, a team coached by...
And you support Kabras, right?
I have a soft spot for Kabras.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So,
you know, sometimes, Wheeler, it's dangerous for you to come out publicly to say you support so and so when one of my specialities is sports. I mean, we also want to work for KCB. So if you throw
but
that...
you have publicly supported Kenya Police.
If yes,
actually,
yes.
his Kabras Lindsay, the director, is also
Just say,
screaming.
No,
You can't just keep calm.
Just say you
up there.
support
Because-
But you see, not every other time I would want to take that bait. It's dangerous for me.
Just take it. You are a human being.
No. I have a career to serve some of these persons.
We do.
And I do not want to run away. You know, if KCB come calling and somebody hears this, he says, "Wenda Kabras wakupatie kazi."
But wakili, kama haijakuja,
Don't make it an issue of...
no, it's not an issue. Kama haijakuja, enda tu mahali moyo wako iko hivi. The sport is towards Kabras. Just support Kabras. In the meantime, just be like politicians. They don't have permanent friends. They have permanent enemies. So is sports.
Yeah.
Because we've seen so many players playing for FC Leopards crossing over to Gor Mahia.
Anyway, my point is he's spoken about the provision on Kenya Cup rules. I think should be Rule 13.646, which speaks about the weather conditions and the rescheduling of the match. What I'm not really sure about that proviso is whether the match is rescheduled to kick off from the very minute it was postponed or it restarts, and if the scores are retained. You know, there are some rules in football. If a match is rained off or if it's stopped due to hooliganism, sometimes, or force majeure, basically, the match can restart from the very minute it had been stopped, such that if it was stopped at the 89th minute, the match kicks off on a subsequent day at the 89th minute, and then it's concluded within the 3 minutes. So
Actually,
I'm really keen to see the jurisprudence from the Kenya Cup organizers or from the league organizers.
Matters jurisprudence, Wakili says. But as it stands, actually, Kabras atop the log, 47 points. KCB 45, same as Menengai Oilers 45. Between Oilers and Strathmore Leos in position 4 is a massive 14-point gap. And basically, you can already see the battle lines are already drawn. And of course, we'll be heading to the playoffs. So that's the teams that finish in the top 8. But you can still clearly see that Kabras, KCB, and Oilers are actually the main boys in this race, Steve. How do we really change the scenario? It's maybe 3 teams dominant. Oilers have not won it. It's mainly been a haggle between KCB and Kabras. But even if you look at these table standings, they are teams that just make up the numbers.
But I must congratulate Oilers because they broke into the ranks, now tussling Kabras and KCB. Previously it was KCB, Kabras. At least now we have a third horse in the name of Oilers. Last season they dismantled KCB and lost to, I think, Kabras by a whisker. So I think they are doing well. Strathmore can also borrow a leaf from Oilers. What have they done so that to push themselves up against the big boys? And they have the resources, unlike the traditional Harlequins, Impala, who have really fallen off due to resources. And as you rightly put it, let us see the resources in Kabras, the resources in KCB, and the resources in Oilers on the pitch, because this is KCB's pitch. And from a cooperative perspective, it does not augur well. We really need to see neatness in the pitch that I saw that led to the cancellation of that match. I will suggest let the match pick from where it stopped so that we can see continuity. And the hustle the young boys from Kabras really put in to ensure that the veterans in KCB lost the 10 points to draw 10-10 before it was called off. But again, even as we call on the corporates to ensure that they facilitate infrastructural development, we also call on the government to ensure that traditional clubs that will not have a pitch anyway, at least KCB have a pitch that is not good. There are clubs that do not have any pitch to train on. Some train on pitches in some primary schools back at home. So I would request, and it's a request that I put here, why would the governors not collaborate and put up infrastructure, good infrastructure, so that we can have proper training facilities and playing facilities for teams that would like to play. These are opportunities to the young people. There are no old people in sports. If they are, they do it for health purposes, not for earning a living. So the government, if you want to help the young people, invest in sports infrastructure.
And of course, this week, all roads will be leading to Vasha or Naivasha,